Astro Bot is the latest entry for the Astro Bot franchise, making its debut on the PS5. The game roughly is about 10 hours long if you do the main campaign, and about 20 hours plus if you do everything else. There are some very difficult challenges and the difficulty spikes quite high after you've done the main campaign, which is relatively easy. Astro Bot is a pure love letter to those who have been with PlayStation since the PS1 days, and you even get to see Astro Bot playing on the smaller PS1 in one of its idle animations, just showing just how much of a love letter, just homage to PlayStation's 30 years this actually is. Everything in this game is a true homage to PlayStation, and it's why I will be providing 2 scores for this game. One for those that play the platformer on its own and don't really care for the 30 years of PlayStation, and the other for those that absolutely do care for the 30 years of PlayStation, and this actually does impact the results quite a bit, and you'll see that at some point in the review. With that said, and with that out of the way, welcome to my review of Astro Bot PS5. When you start Astro Bot, you are at a crash site with almost nothing there, but by the end you have a fully populated crash site and a fully repaired PS5. You need to rescue bots in order to continue opening up boss battles and new areas. Each of the areas also hosts an iconic level ranging from Ape Escape, Uncharted to God of War Ragnarok. And they do the original game so much justice. It's just a joy to wield Astro Bot versions of Drake, Kratos, and Spike for those of you that are familiar with Ape Escape. I'll leave the other 2 for you to find out on your own, but they are equally as good, if not better, which is why I'm saying this game is so good. But that is pretty much the main loop of the game. You enter a world, you beat 4 or 5 subworlds, rescue the Astrobots, collect puzzle pieces while you make your way to the end. You also have Vortex versions of the levels, which are different levels, but in the same world you unlocked the Vortex from. Finally, you also have these PlayStation shaped levels, which range from mid difficulty to absolute stone brick wall you shall not pass difficulty. For instance, despite my best efforts, the final challenge level is still beyond me and could very well stay like that. It is that hard. It is insanely hard. However, overall, it's simple, works like a charm. Graphically, the game is a dream, from the idle animations to the enemies rushing about, to the way they react, to the physics used in the game, the different power-ups and the way they react. It all just comes together like a dream. And it's simply beautiful to see and experience. I can't really describe it. You're seeing on screen how good it actually looks, and this is just parts of the level. I'm trying to keep a lot of it hidden because I really do want you to go out and experience this for the first time. It really is that wondrous of a joy to see. Team Asobi clearly poured their heart into this game, and it absolutely shows. And though there is one area the frame rate does drop, I would say eyeballing low 50s, maybe even mid 40s. This occurs after saving all 300 and collecting the gacha machine items. They populate the crash site with 300 bots, and this is where the frame drop happens. It's minor but worth mentioning because it is there. The actual levels themselves, however, are locked at 60 and I didn't notice any frame drops. All in all, the graphics are silky smooth, the gameplay is silky smooth, barring a few hiccups here and there where I pressed the jump button twice in order to actually, jump twice and it didn't register the second jump. It was little niggle bits. I have to nitpick at most in order to find things wrong with this game because graphically the game was faultless. Simple as that. It was just a joy to watch and a joy to play. Gameplay in Astro Bot is very simple, and it needed to be as it appeals to the younger audience too. How could it not? Just look at the way the graphics are, it's gonna drive people in. You have the ability to jump, double jump with water thrusters, attack and hold attack, which basically sends your Astro Bot spinning. These are all performed with the X and square buttons. Each world gives you a unique power up as well to use, and this is activated with the right trigger with the exception of one ability on the last Vortex level. This requires you to press the left trigger and the right trigger at the same time, but you'll see that when you get to it. There is so much charm to this game, from its undeniably amazing music to the photos you take in the game with all the NPCs rushing in for a photo, and Astro himself making adorable faces. I could go on about the charm and beauty of the game forever. It's just that good, and at no point was I ever left asking myself, this could have looked better. It really couldn't. From retro block levels to beautifully crafted Ragnarok levels, the game has a wide range and a OST to match. Even while I streamed it, people were commenting on just how good the OST was. The audio and music just left a smile on my face the whole time. Even when playing with my kids, they just loved the way Astro Bot reacted. You turned the camera to you and the Astro Bot would smile and wave, and my kids absolutely fell in love with Astro Bot. And that's what you want. This game isn't going to, set the graphics department, ablaze. It's not a Hellblade 2. It's not going to, it's not aiming for that. What it's aiming to do is provide you with a platform experience that brings you every bit of joy it possibly can to you and the player. And as a grown adult, I couldn't get enough. And my kids, they can't stop playing. That's a testament to how good the game actually is. Seeing the whole history of PlayStation IPs from Wipeout to Ape Escape, Uncharted, God of War, Resident Evil, Tomb Raider to Metal Gear Solid in bot forms was the greatest final touch to the package. Seeing Snake underneath a box, lifting it up, looking left and right, and then putting it back down was just a joy. Psycho Mantis making an appearance. What can I say? If you love, when I say this was a 30-year love letter to fans of PlayStation, I was not joking. You will marvel at the amazing delivery and beauty of it all, and the amount of sheer cameos that appear in the game. It's just mind-blowing. It's a bit weird that not a single Square Enix game made an appearance. I would have assumed at least Final Fantasy VII, after, all the history that's gone on with them, would have made an appearance, but it seems not. It looks like Square Enix did not give them permission to use their IP, which is a real shame because it sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, even Knack made an appearance, come on. We then come to the controller. For me, like the Astro Playroom, the controller stole the show. The constant noises coming from the controller, or the actual feel of you ice skating on the ice, was truly memorable, and no other game outside of Astro Playroom has come close to using the PS5 DualSense the way Team Asobi did. If you ever play this game, it has to be with a DualSense, or you simply will be missing out. From the haptic feedback to the gyro controls, every ounce of the controller was put to use, and you know what? I didn't even care that it drained my battery. The trade-off was worth it, and it outlines why the DualSense is so damn good and a game changer for Sony, and something that other platforms like Xbox could look into, because honestly, it adds another dimension to your gameplay when it's utilized correctly. It's just sad that not many developers use it. At the crash site, you also have various ornaments that you can actually go into and utilize. You've got the costume room where you can go in and change into the costumes that you've unlocked, and there is 30, maybe 40 of these for you to unlock. There is some with the deluxe edition, but you can actually unlock them in game, so that is great. You've also got the ability to change the color of your controllers. You've also got the ability to go into a safari where you can take pictures with set surroundings. It's just, everything you possibly can think of was absolutely thought about here and implemented to create that perfect package. Nothing, when they say no stone was left unturned, that is exactly what Team Asobi did. So what do I think of Astro Bot? Should this game be a retail product or one supplied alongside Astro Playroom? I think it deserves a retail price, but from news that came to me as of the writing of this review, it's supposed to be preloaded onto the PS5 Pro like the Playroom was for the PS5. As this is not confirmed, this won't have any effect or bearing on my final verdict, and quite honestly, I don't think it would matter. The game is an absolute joy to play and is one of the best games I played this year. Full stop. I was a little disappointed they reused a few bosses from the previous Astro Bot games, from design to mechanics, the whole lot, like the monkey boss. It was literally a lift and shift, and I think they let themselves down a little here, but it overall didn't take away from the experience. Especially if this is the first Astro Bot you're coming into, you won't even know. The music was great, gameplay was simple and devilish, and the presentation was beautiful to look at. I really don't have many faults here. At times my double jump wouldn't work, the placement of enemies and threads you pull were badly placed, but then you have the haunted mansion and all of that just doesn't matter. If you absolutely have no care for Sony's heritage of 30 years and absolutely couldn't care less, in that case, why would you even be playing this game? The game scores are respectable, in my opinion, still a solid 8.7 out of 10. But as someone who does enjoy the 30 years of PlayStation and seeing the characters utilized the way they were, the levels that were created specifically for the iconic games like the Uncharted series, like God of War, it completed the package for me, and that's why I'm giving Astro Bot a very respectable 9.3 out of 10. I did say I was going to give 2 scores because I do feel like if you don't care for anything within the heritage of PlayStation, at that point, like I said, I am asking why are you even playing this? Why do you have a PS5? But if you didn't care for it, it is still an amazing game and sits at a nice 8.7. But the added 30 years of nostalgia, IP and characters, homage paid to PlayStation, and this is a true love letter to PlayStation. In my opinion, a 9.3 is well deserved. If it wasn't for the few bugs, the reused assets and the very few hitbox issues I had, this would have scored higher. The game is super easy to complete, but the bonus levels go from mid difficulty to pulling your hair out, and despite my best efforts, I'm yet unable to beat the 300 bot unlocked level. Some of these PlayStation shaped levels feel totally unfair but doable, but the final one is just beyond difficult, and if you want to platinum the game, you have to beat it. Maybe a checkpoint or a difficulty slider, not sure, but these are preventing the game, for me, from giving it a perfect 10. That said, a 9.3 is still a great score, and I would absolutely recommend this game to anyone that has a PS5 and loves platformers. It's not a Mario killer. Maybe it never set out to be, but the community wanted it to be. But it doesn't have to be. It's Sony's own mascot. And honestly, that's enough. Thank you so much for watching my review. Honestly, this game is absolutely beautiful. If you do get a chance to play it, I highly recommend it. A 9.3 out of 10 is a very, very good score. And honestly, if you do love the PlayStation heritage, if you are a massive fan of PlayStation, this game will blow you away with just how it respects every single IP that's been there. With the exception of Final Fantasy VII, of course, because that's a weird one. But there are some of the most obscure games in here that you will see and be like, oh my god, I remember this from the PS Vita or from the PSP, and it will just bring countless smiles to your face. And when Hiroki Totoki says that PlayStation has no IPs, and then I see Astro Bot and the plethora of IPs here, one does have to wonder what exactly is going on at PlayStation, because this game is beyond phenomenal and deserves every credit and every accolade it gets. Thanks so much for watching my review of Astro Bot PS5.